On the bank of a canal in a residential neighborhood in southwest Florida, there is a hole in the ground about the width of a dinner plate. It runs back into the earth at a shallow angle. The soil around the entrance is packed smooth and hard from something heavy going in and out of it, over and over, for a long time. There are claw marks, 3-toed drag lines in the dirt where a tail has been pulled through. Somebody's house is 40 feet away. There is a lawn, a dock, a boat lift, a screened lanai. The people who live there have walked past that hole for years. What comes out of it at first light is nearly 7 feet long, weighs as much as a large dog, can run at 18 miles an hour, and is native to sub-Saharan Africa. And it is not the only one on that canal. The city it lives in has, by some estimates, more than 1,000 of them. That is one city, not one county, not one region, one municipality on Florida's southwest coast, holding what is understood to be the largest concentration of this animal anywhere outside its native continent. Wildlife officials have confirmed breeding populations in at least 2 Florida counties, with strong evidence for 2 more. The Federal Survey Agency now describes the species as firmly established in one county and spreading into the next. And here is the sentence that should stop you. According to the U.S. Geological Survey and researchers at the University of Florida, full eradication of this animal in Florida is no longer considered feasible. Not difficult, not expensive, no longer feasible. They have stopped trying to remove it. They are now trying to slow it down. So understand what it actually is, because almost nobody outside Florida knows this animal exists in America at all. Varanus niloticus, the Nile monitor, a lizard native to sub-Saharan Africa, found along rivers and lakes from the Nile basin down through most of the continent. It is one of the largest lizards on Earth, commonly 6 feet, with individuals recorded past 7, weighing up to around 20 pounds. Put that next to what people picture when they hear the word lizard in Florida. Most think of a green iguana, and green iguanas are already an invasive problem the state has spent years fighting. But an iguana is a herbivore. It eats leaves and flowers and fruit. It is a nuisance because it digs into seawalls and eats landscaping and defecates on pool decks. This animal is a predator, and physically, it is in a different category. Officials in Florida have started describing it publicly as a bigger threat than the iguana, and the comparison is not about size alone. It is about what the animal does with that size. Because here is the part that reframes it. The 4 largest lizard species now established in Florida are all non-native. Everyone. The biggest reptiles walking around the state that aren't crocodilians did not evolve there. They were brought in and they got out and they stayed. Now, what it can do. Because the physical capabilities are the reason containment failed. It runs at around 18 miles an hour. That is faster than most people can sprint over broken ground from a standing start. It is a powerful swimmer, and it can hold its breath underwater for roughly an hour. Not a minute, an hour. It moves comfortably in fresh water and in salt, which means brackish canals, mangrove edges, tidal creeks, and open coastal water are all navigable to it. It climbs. Adults have been recorded up trees and on structures. It burrows, and in Florida it digs its home burrows along canal banks. And it is intelligent. Monitor lizards as a group have the largest brain-to-body ratio of any reptile, and Nile monitors in particular are notoriously difficult to trap. They learn what a trap is, and after one encounter, they will not go near it again. Fast on land, at home in the water, capable of climbing, capable of digging, and smart enough to avoid the tools used to catch it. That is not a manageable animal. That is an animal you negotiate with. And it is worth describing what one actually looks like standing in a suburban yard, because photographs undersell it. The body is olive green to near black, banded with rows of pale yellow markings that start as V-shapes at the base of the skull and break into spots down the back. The head is narrow and snake-like, nothing like the blunt face of an iguana. With a long forked tongue, it flicks constantly, tasting the air the way a snake does. The tail is laterally flattened, built as a swimming oar, and it accounts for well over half the animal's total length. The claws are long, curved, and dark. At full size, it does not look like a lizard that wandered in. It looks like something that belongs in a documentary about another continent, standing on a lawn 40 feet from a mailbox. So how did an African lizard end up living in Florida canals? The same way most of Florida's invasive reptile problem started, the pet trade. Nile monitors were imported in large numbers as exotic pets. They are sold small. A hatchling fits in your palm and looks like an interesting novelty. Then it grows fast. Within 2 years, it is a meter-plus predator with claws, a whipping tail, and a bite, and it does not tame down the way some monitor species do. Nile monitors have a reputation among reptile keepers as one of the least suitable large lizards to keep, precisely because they stay defensive. So people released them, or the animals escaped, or both, repeatedly, over decades. By the 1990s, the species was established in southwest Florida. In 2004, the first confirmed breeding population was documented in Cape Coral in Lee County. And by then, it was already too late for the easy version of the fix. Now, the part that turned a local problem into a statewide one, and it is a piece of infrastructure. Lee County contains a canal network running to roughly 644 kilometers, 400 miles of interconnected artificial waterway cut through a coastal city, lined with soft banks, running past thousands of homes. For an animal that swims well, holds its breath for an hour, and digs its burrows into canal banks, that network is not a barrier, it is a highway. Florida's Wildlife Commission says it directly. The state's extensive canal system may provide dispersal corridors for a species that prefers water edges. The monitors move along the water, and the water goes everywhere, which is how the range map filled in. There are now confirmed established populations in Lee County and Palm Beach County. There is evidence of established populations in Miami-Dade and Broward. The federal survey lists the animal as spreading into Charlotte County. Reports have come in from across the peninsula, a sighting in Cape Coral in August of 2025, another in Boynton Beach a month later, Broward in early 2024, Miami-Dade before that. Wildlife officials caution that a single sighting somewhere new should not automatically be written off as an escaped pet, because sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it is the front edge of something already there. Now, the diet, and this is where the ecological picture gets bleak. The federal species profile describes the Nile monitor as omnicarnivorous. In practice, that means it eats invertebrates, especially crabs, carrion, birds, mammals, fish, reptiles, the eggs of birds and turtles and crocodilians, other monitor lizards, and, in the phrasing of the survey literature, any terrestrial or aquatic vertebrate it can overpower and consume. It hunts on the surface, underground, in trees, and in both fresh and salt water. There is very little in a Florida canal system that is outside its reach. In areas where they are abundant, they have attacked small pets and livestock, chickens, cats, small dogs. But the native species problem is worse than the pet problem, and it comes down to an unfortunate coincidence of geography. Cape Coral holds the largest population of Florida burrowing owls in the state. The burrowing owl is 9 inches tall. It is listed as threatened in Florida. And unlike most owls, it is active during the day, and it lives underground, in burrows, in open sandy ground, much of it in vacant lots, and roadside verges scattered through residential Cape Coral. People put up little wooden perches next to the burrows. There are signs. The bird is a genuine point of local pride. Cape Coral also holds the largest known population of Nile monitors in the state. Same city, same soil. An animal that hunts underground, and a threatened bird that lives underground and is smaller than the lizard's head-to-shoulder length. Researchers have flagged the overlap for 2 decades. The monitor's generalist habits mean a long list of Florida's protected species could be at risk of being eaten or outcompeted, and the burrowing owl sits at the top of that list because of where it happens to live. And then there is the part nobody expects, which is what this animal does to crocodilians. In Africa, the Nile monitor is a specialist nest raider. Nile crocodiles lay 35 to 50 eggs, and the female guards the nest. But she has to leave periodically to cool off in the water or to feed, and in those windows the monitors go in. A high percentage of crocodile eggs across African populations are lost to exactly this. It is well documented, and it has been for decades. Now put that animal in Florida, where there are 2 native crocodilians, the American alligator and the American crocodile, which is federally protected and nests in a handful of specific places in the far south of the state. The federal assessment of this is unusually blunt. It says the potential for established Nile monitors in Florida to negatively impact native crocodilians is enormous, given the species' documented preference for raiding nests and eating the eggs and young of crocodiles in its native range. And there is a precedent that shows this is not theoretical. A different invasive lizard, the Argentine black and white tegu, also established in Florida, was studied in 2013 with automated cameras placed over crocodilian nests. Researchers watched a tegu raid an American alligator nest and eat the eggs. They recorded tegu activity at an American crocodile nest as well. 2 crocodilian nests monitored, one of them raided on camera by an invasive lizard. The Nile monitor is larger than a tegu, stronger than a tegu, and has an ancestral history of doing exactly this to crocodiles specifically. So why can't they get rid of it? Here's the arithmetic, and it is the reason officials gave up on eradication. A female Nile monitor matures at 2 years old. She digs a burrow, often into a termite mound in Africa, into canal banks and soft ground in Florida, and lays a clutch of somewhere between 12 and 60 eggs. 60. And the clutch size increases as she gets older and larger. So the biggest, oldest females are the most productive ones. In captivity, these animals have lived 20 years. Their natural lifespan in the wild is not well established, but if a female in Florida approaches anything like her captive potential, that is close to 2 decades of reproduction, with clutches getting bigger the whole way. Now add the fact that Florida has no natural check on them. In Africa, they contend with crocodiles, big cats, large snakes, birds of prey, and human hunting pressure that has coexisted with them for millennia. In a Cape Coral canal, an adult Nile monitor has essentially nothing above it. An alligator could take one. Mostly, nothing does. Fast reproduction, long reproductive life, no predators, 400 miles of canal, and an animal too intelligent to trap twice. Now, let me be straight with you, because that is the whole point of this channel. The picture is not uniformly bad, and there is a real counter-argument the headlines skip. The city of Cape Coral has run a trapping and removal program for around 20 years. Their environmental biologist told an outdoor publication recently that staff have taken close to 800 lizards over that period, and his characterization of the current situation was not panic. There are pockets of them, he said, but they are greatly diminished. That matters. In the one place with the longest running, best funded, most sustained removal effort in the state, the population has been pushed down. Sustained trapping does work. It just has to be sustained forever. Second, the numbers you see quoted for the Cape Coral population, the over 1,000 figure, do not come from a state agency. That estimate circulates through private trapping companies and local coverage. The FWC does not publish a population count for this species, and as of this year, the exact number of Nile monitors removed statewide is not publicly reported either. Treat any specific total you see with caution, including that one. Third, and this needs saying plainly, there is no record of a Nile monitor killing a person in Florida. They are large and they will defend themselves. The claws in the tail are genuinely dangerous, and people have been injured handling them. But this is not an animal hunting human beings. It runs, because it says something about how these situations actually happen. The Nile monitor is not protected in Florida in any meaningful sense. There is no season, no bag limit, no license required on state-managed land. You can capture and humanely kill one at any time of year. The state has deliberately stripped away the regulatory barriers to removing them and actively encourages residents to do it. An animal that has effectively zero legal protection that anyone is permitted to kill on site year-round with the state's encouragement is still spreading. That is what it looks like when a species wins. Not because we protected it, because we could not physically catch enough of them. So it comes back to that hole in the canal bank, 40 feet from somebody's lanai. The people in that house may never see what lives in it. Nile monitors are wary of humans. They are mostly active in the warmer part of the day, and they disappear into water at the first sign of anything approaching. A homeowner can share a property line with one for years and register nothing but a shape moving through the grass at the edge of the yard, too big to be an iguana, gone before the eye resolves it. Somewhere on that 400 miles of waterway tonight, there is a female that has been laying for a decade, in a burrow nobody has found, on a bank nobody surveys, in a city that stopped trying to remove her species and started trying to contain it instead. And the state's own position is that there is no version of the future where they are gone.